Hey folks, Kilt-Man here. Kilt-Man at your services. I've got to tell you, this has been one of the most difficult videos I've ever done. I don't know why. I genuinely do not know why. This will be possibly the 25th attempt to even start this video and get it off the ground. I really don't know why it's been so difficult. Raquel Welch died yesterday on the 15th of February 2023, and since last night when the news broke, I've been trying to do this video as a tribute to her. I've loved her. As a child, I grew up watching her movies and adoring her, and like many of you guys, I had posters of her on the bedroom wall, and we loved and cherished her, and she retained her looks, her beauty, her allure throughout all of her life. She died at the age of 82 after a brief illness. Now, I'd seen footage of her only last year, and you know, for a woman in her 80s, she looked spectacular. She did. She hadn't lost any of that beauty. Born of exotic heritage, her father was Bolivian but of Spanish heritage, and she had that exotic look about her, that mystique, and of course that body. Now, it's hard to imagine someone like that was ever going to go away. This is the thing about the stars and the personalities and the celebrities that the heroes, the icons that we grew up with. They're everlasting, they're immortal, they're never going to go. But as you guys know, regular viewers know, I do tributes to people that do pass over. And I'm always shocked. I don't know them personally. You guys probably don't know them personally. You might do. But when they go, it does leave an incredibly, heartfelt impact upon you. And I have struggled to do this video. I've not had this issue before with anybody else. And I can't believe it. I might not get through this one. I've got 5 minutes into these videos, in these attempts, and then turn them off because it's just not working. But let's persevere. She made her name with 1 million years BC in the doe-skin loincloth, the fairy bikini as it's always known, for Hammer movies. For Hammer, she made her name with Hammer movies in one of their prehistoric epics opposite John Richardson. My God, it's great. I have reviewed the movie extensively on the channel. I'll put a link to it. Now, she then made, or rather the same period, she made Fantastic Voyage. Wow, what a great sci-fi odyssey. Spectacular that is. Very visionary, very surreal. What is it? You have a Czechoslovakian scientist who defects to the West, and he's got secrets to impart. But he has a brain clot. Oh no, but we need to get the secrets out. So what did he do? They miniaturized a bunch of scientists and surgeons into a little mini sub and inject them into his body to go and use laser beams to destroy the clot on his brain. But once they're inside his body, they've got a time limit as well before they're going to go back to normal size. So get in, do the job, get out. But they're pursued by the villainous white blood corpuscles, which are only doing their job. They're fighting any bacteriological invasion of the body. And you see all these hyper surreal sets and art design of the lungs and tissues, and they're swimming about in like not amniotic but symbiotic fluid, whatever the fluids are inside the human body, I don't know. And they've got to come out after doing the job through a tear duct before they expand. Oh my God. But you've also got Donald Pleasance in there, who's a double agent. He's the saboteur that's in there. Donald Pleasance. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie. And I was going to watch it last night when the news broke as a homage to her, just a tribute to her. But I couldn't find it. Couldn't actually find my copy of it. And it was a spectacularly, starry night. So I thought, I'll go outside street lighting out the front, but cemetery at the back, no street lighting. I'll go out and I'll look at the constellations and the stars, and I'll see Raquel Welch up there in the stars. And I genuinely thought, that's probably the better way of doing it. So, I did that. But it's a great film. She's not the most convincing of scientists or surgeons in that movie. She's not. She's there to add eye candy and perhaps a bit of buoyancy, you know, to that submarine as it's traversing these internal fluids, synovial fluids. And it's a fantastic movie. How the hell they got Isaac Asimov, yes, Isaac Asimov, to write the novelization of that? Actually, no, it's not that surprising. I've seen critics go like, Isaac Asimov attached to Fantastic Voyage, it's just pulp sci-fi. Well, the thing is, yeah, the film is pulp sci-fi, but it's hyperly surreal at the same time. And it's got really great scientific advancement ideas. So Asimov would be drawn to it. Yeah, I don't see why he wouldn't have done it. So it's a great movie. But 1 Million Years BC for Hammer remains an iconic masterpiece. And the thing about Raquel Welch, born Jo Raquel Tejada, I think it is, and then Raquel Welch, Hollywood name. The thing about her is that she actually changed the typical damsel in distress, the typical woman, the actress, the heroine from the 40s, actually no, not the 40s, but they were quite strong women, of course, in the 40s. The 50s, there was some, if it was Howard Hawks, they'd be strong-willed women, but mostly they were like, they'd fall over and the monster would come after them, the hero would have to come and save them, obviously. They weren't hard-bitten, they were just beautiful bit of eye candy. She was that, hard-bitten, vengeful in many cases, but she had depth of character. Maybe not Fantastic Voyage, but certainly 1 Million Years BC. She goes on an entire odyssey and learns to deal with the harsh realities of this prehistoric world and meets other tribes and fight off monsters and, you know, bloody flying pterodon things and that big tarantula, that bloody big tarantula, which is traversing the landscape as well. Jesus, it's a great movie, tremendous, and she looks awesome. But she would become a sort of prototype for the stronger women that you see in movies. Well, I'd say nowadays, but it's very trendy to say that, oh, women are now getting stronger roles. They've actually had stronger roles for quite some time. Think Sigourney Weaver and Ripley. Think Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween. We've actually had them for quite some time. And no, they're just a couple of examples where in the vast melange of you know, women in movies tend to be just sidelined, they're supporting, or they're weaker, they've got to be looked after. Well, if you look at the likes of Raquel Welch in her westerns and you're hearing, listen to this now, this is Bandolero from 1968. This is Jerry Goldsmith's score. This is outstanding, this. All day I've been trying to gear up for this tribute and I've been playing this. You'd think it would have worked, but it's... I've struggled today, folks. I've struggled today. I don't mind being honest with you. I've just got to lay it out there. Raquel has clearly left a huge, you know, cleft in my heart to get this done. I'm struggling to do it even now. She made a slew of westerns. She made Bandolero, which is this, with Jimmy Stewart and Dean Martin and George Kennedy and some other great actors in there. Jimmy Stewart and Dean Martin are brothers. and they're on the run. They're saved from the hanging. They go on the run, but they enter the land of the bandoleros, Mexicans, to you and me, and they have to fight against them and against the posse, George Kennedy's posse, which is just, and it's great, and she's wonderful. She's genuinely three-dimensional. She falls in love. She's a hostage, but she falls in love with Dean Martin's character, who's a bad lad. He's a bad boy, but they fall in love. And in a big last stand, pretty much everyone gets killed, and she will kill the lead bad guy. And she's brilliant at it. Brilliant. She would also, the same year, make 100 Rifles with Jim Brown and Burt Reynolds. And it's another, you know, little ragtag bunch of thrown together people who've got to fight the Mexicans. It's funny how these films came out the same sort of time as Sam Peckinpah's The Wild Bunch, which is again pitting Americans against Mexicans in a glorious last stand. And both these films, Bandolero and 100 Rifles, will feature glorious last stand battles. And in 100 Rifles, which is a bit more, I don't know, it's a bit more cavalier, a bit darker as well in some ways. She does an acting masterclass. In the opening of 100 Rifles, the Mexican general is slaying the Indians left, right and centre, and she's an Indian herself. Burt Reynolds plays a half-breed. He's done that a couple of times. He's in Navajo Joe, playing a half-breed as well later on. And this is one of his much earlier roles, with a big, massive porn star tash, his trademark tash. And but the Mexicans will murder Raquel Welch's father at the start of this. They'll hang him, and she goes through an incredible odyssey of rage and despair and hatred and, you know, acceptance, because her dad's struggling. She leaps up to try and pull his legs down to break his neck, to kill him quickly, to stop the misery and the suffering. And then she collapses on her knees, and she'll laugh and then cry and scream, and oh my God. So then when she joins this little strange sort of trio, Burt Reynolds is he's what would be perhaps an Indian half-breed terrorist who wants to take the vengeance back to the Mexicans and get his revenge on them for wiping out their tribe. He's the same tribe as Raquel Welch. And but Jim Brown plays a lawman bounty hunter who has got to go and get Burt Reynolds' character. But they will encounter each other, and they'll find, look, we've got to fight with our 100 rifles against this lot and take them all down, because they're the greater evil. And Raquel Welch and Jim Brown will have, I've seen this written as being, you know, the first interracial thing in a movie. Don't know if that's true. I mean, we know that before this, you had, obviously, Captain Jim Kirk, William Shatner, and Lieutenant Uhura, you know, Nichelle Williams, whatever her name is, had their first TV interracial kiss. So I think that predated this movie, but this could be the first movie where, you know, interracial stuff took place. So Raquel Welch was there at the forefront of a lot of these things, interracial relationships on screen, and, you know, strong-willed, fighting, feisty women who would kick ass and get vengeance. Vengeance, you say? In the 70s, the early 70s, I think it was 72 maybe, she made Hanny Calder, a British financed and produced Western with the most amazing cast you could ever imagine. And she plays Hanny Calder, who at the start, her husband gets murdered and she gets raped. But then she will go on a vengeance spree to take down the guys that did the deed. 3 guys. And who are they? Struther Martin, Ernest Borgnine, and I forgot his name, the big googly one, Jack Elam. Jack Elam. To be honest, they're not the most threatening of guys, but they've all got because they're all these sort of big, sort of overblown caricature faces that they've all been invested in westerns completely. Strother Martin, Ennis Borgnine, The Wild Bunch, Jack Elam, Sergio Leone. He's been in many westerns. So, and these three guys have got to be taken down. But she's no expert. Her heart's in the right place. She wants my desires for revenge, but she hasn't got the skills. So she gets guns from a kindly gunsmith, played by Christopher Lee. Yes, Count Dracula himself. Dracula! It doesn't make any sense, does it? But the bounty hunter that looks after it, yeah, it's always a bounty hunter in these things. It's Robert Culp with a big proper beard on him, proper manly beard. Robert Culp will train her how to use her weaponry, her 45, and help her instigate her revenge on these three bastards. And it's wonderful. So, this is a woman that her looks would get her into movies, but her sheer sense of character and her acting abilities really served her well in these movies. Now, she made many other movies, like there's Bedazzled, of course. She played a character called Lust, who, oh, these clothes are too tight, can you just undo these clothes for me? It's ridiculous. And the thing is, she hated those roles. She didn't want to do that. When she was younger, she wanted to be a singer and a dancer. And she could sing and she could dance, which she did. When Elvis left the stage in Las Vegas, she took over for a while. And she'd been in lots of TV shows and proper celebrity shows, and she'd do her thing. She was already a celebrity then, but she'd sing and she'd dance and prove, God, everyone was like, she can do it. She isn't just a pretty face and a gorgeous body, she can move and shake and sing. But she could genuinely act as well. The likes of Fantastic Voyage, which you hear in the soundtrack to, well, the main theme to it now, the very bizarre main theme to it now. That's not a great sort of showcase for her. And she didn't make too many movies. There's a lot, but a lot of them are just because they're cashing in on her good looks and the fact that she was an iconic sort of, beauty. But she was much more than that. Much more than that. The likes of Jane Fonda took inspiration from Raquel Welch. The likes of Charlize Theron has took inspiration from Raquel Welch. Because she's feisty, because she's a strong-willed woman who did, against the Hollywood standard, provide great characters in what a lot of these westerns were just pulp westerns with its macho action. There's lots of gunplay and last stands and battles and sieges and heists, but she would play a part in all of those sequences. She'd be there and fighting alongside the menfolk and fighting just as hard. They're great movies, they really are. She was also going to be seen later in like 1994 in Naked Gun 33 and a third, where Leslie Nielsen's Lieutenant Frank Drebin of Police Squad tumbles down the stairs at the Oscars ceremony as she's presenting an award and butts into her, and she goes onto the microphone. Yes, quite clearly there was a lot of in-jokery taking place there, visual as well on that. And then Sam Raimi style spits it out like an eyeball from a mouth from a Sam Raimi Evil Dead movie to bonk off the heads of the orchestra. And she took it on her chin, or in the mouth, quite literally. And she's a trooper. She was cashing in on her iconic looks and her iconic status, and it worked a treat. So sadly, she has gone. And as I said before, I've got posters of her, and we have her behind us here. We have a slew of stuff here. Hanny Calder's there, 100 Rifles, 1 Million Years BC. That is From Dusk Till Dawn. I know, she's not in that. But Satanica Pandemonium there Salma Hayek. Again, that sort of curvaceous, full-bodied woman, again harks back to 1 million years BC, and the strength and the power of a sexy, sultry woman. You can perhaps see why this video has been so difficult to do. I can't believe she's dead. I can't. And I still see her in that doe-skin bikini with this music playing. This is the music. Mario Nassimbean's music to 1 million years BC. Very primordial, very dark, old, ancient. It's tectonic plates shifting all over the place, you know. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. She was in so many TV shows as well, but I can't even begin to talk about all of those. She had a few marriages. To my knowledge, I think her last marriage ended in divorce several years ago, and I don't think she was married at the time of her death. I could be wrong about that. I don't know. A couple of kids. Cheers, y'all. I've missed out 2 mega movies. Of course I have. Richard Lester's The Three Musketeers and The Four Musketeers. Hang on a minute. We did start off playing Michael Legrand's music from The Three Musketeers. This would be 1973 and 74. The films were made back to back and released the year apart. And Christopher Lee was in those movies as well as Count de Richelieu. And she plays Constance, who's married to Spike Milligan. She won a Golden Globe for this performance because D'Artagnan, played by Michael York, will obviously fall under the thrall of this sort of buxom peasant girl, the serving wench to Spike Milligan. He'll fall for her and they will become an item throughout the Musketeers saga of 2 movies. It went on to more movies, but she didn't stay with it. But she's great, and her comedic timing is also impeccable. So not only have you got a woman who is drop dead gorgeous, curvaceous, and she could just stand there and do nothing, and half the audience, or maybe 99% of the audience, will just be drooling and loving the movie just because she's there in the frame. But she can act, she can do action, she can fight, she can shoot, and great with a wisecrack and a comeback. She's great with all of that. And in Three Musketeers and Four Musketeers, she's got comedic timing as well. The fledgling, confused, farcical romance that she has with D'Artagnan is fantastic. She won a Golden Globe for Best Female Actress in it was a strange award, comedic. I think it was comedic / dramatic role, supporting role in a movie. It's almost like they created it for her, but she got it anyway, and well deserved. She's great. She's genuinely gorgeous. Hugh Hefner wanted her to pose nude to Playboy. Hugh, it was worth trying, wasn't it? She didn't do it. She posed, but not nude. And he came out with the most stupid remark. He said like, well, you know, she is so beautiful, she doesn't need to take her clothes off. If you're beautiful, you're beautiful. You don't need to be. You don't need to have to do that, do you? You know, exploitation there. Oh, don't get me wrong. I'd love to have seen her in a nude. I would. She was one of the most iconic beauties the screen has ever had. You know, the delight to parade in front of us. Fantastic woman. And a real icon and a real inspiration for other female actors, as I've said. And my God, she'll be missed. So, you know, this struggle, effort of a video I think it's because I'm in love with her and I've lost her, as many other people have. And it does hit. I've said before in so many of these videos that, you know, well, I alluded to this before, you don't know these people, you don't know these actors, actresses, you don't know them. But if you've grown up with them and you've watched their movies all the time and you've invested so much hours of your life watching their exploits on screen, and they're reading about them in magazines and then online and all this, you know, when they go, that is a chunk lifted from you. You're like, you feel it. I think I've felt this one more than most. And I'm surprised and yet not surprised. I'm just stunned that it's took me so long to be able to get this video done, that I've struggled so badly to do it. I don't know. Raquel Hunt, rest in peace, and I love you to bits. I mean, she's up there with Sophia Loren and Gene Simmons, and there's a few other select, you know, of sort of like the silver age of cinema, who are the true iconic beauties, ethereal and immortal, and my God, Raquel, I drink to you, hon. Great with a Winchester, great with a Colt 45, great swinging rocks around in the Stone Age. Wonderful, wonderful. And that chaotic beauty and sort of, it's slightly Benny Hill style of the Three Musketeers, 3 and 4 Musketeers, which we're hearing now. It really, really works that you can lend yourself and bend her beauty to such a silly, farcical set of scenarios, and then turn the drama on as well. You know, that again shows depth of character and understanding. She did not like being the sex symbol, and yet having that body, that face, how could she not have been exactly that? What Hollywood truly wanted to put on the screen. To put bums on seats and an itch in all the male pants, you know? But that's what she was. And Godspeed, Raquel, Godspeed. She wanted to be Ginger Rogers, singing and dancing, entertain the troops, vaudeville, pure entertainment on stage. But a doe-skin bikini defined her career. It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. We're going to go into, again, the awesome score from Bandolero by Jerry Goldsmith. This is just so unbelievably cool. Before I play it, I'll just... 1968 this was, the same year as 100 Rifles, and you'd had the Dollars trilogy, Sergio Leone, scored by Ennio Morricone. Ennio Morricone would use the human voice as a musical instrument. He'd use harmonicas and all sorts of weird percussion and the Fender and loads of guitars and like bizarre exotic instrumentation and sound effects, but make a lot of human voices doing weird things as a sound effect. Whistling, hollering, hooting, you know, doing like, you know, the coyote howl. And kind of in retaliation, Jerry Goldsmith did the same thing by utilising, but in a very American style, just someone whistling. And it really works, and it's one hell of an earworm. And it's a great film. It's not one of the best westerns. If you're a western fan, you're going to enjoy it because it's action and adventure. But watch it. It's not the best, but it's still great in its own way. And she's outstanding in it. Her ambush of the Mexican train, and she's having a shower when the train pulls up, and she's whoosh, and the water's coming down. But it's a booby trap. It's an ambush. Oh, we are. This is it. The guitar, the whistle, the gob iron. Oh, this is so good. The little bridge there, harmonica. Tambourine. And of course, let's say she falls in love with Lydecker, which is the Jim Brown character. Oh, it comes together. Trumpet, like Jerry Goldsmith's favourite, the trumpet there to lead the cavalcade, and then it sounds effortless. It's so sweet and sincere. But to come up with that and make it work, and the rhythm and the beat, oh my God, it's fantastic. Now this is 100 Rifles now. It's a slightly different. It's there. The soundtrack is behind me, there. It's Goldsmith again, by the way, I should say. It's a different style altogether. You can hear the brass there, the trumpets. It's more sort of marimba. It's more Mexican. It's funny how two of our westerns were very sort of fighting the Mexicans, but in that year, that's when Peckinpah had done the Wild Bunch. You've still got like sort of glissandi and sort of castanets and percussion in the background. It's got that western jaunt to it. Here's the sort of romantic element from the same film for Jim Brown and Sarita, I think her name is. Raquel Welch's name in it, Sarita. And she's like Yaqui Indian, which the Mexicans have been exterminating. And Bette Reynolds is half-breed Yaqui as well. It's very interesting to note how James Horner, when he scored the awesome The Mask of Zorro with Antonio Banderas, his music, his action and romance and playfulness is very, very similar to this, what you're hearing right now. Very. And of course, in The Mask of Zorro, and then the woeful sequel, Legend of Zorro, it's Catherine Zeta-Jones, who at that stage would be, if Raquel Welch was the most gorgeous woman in the world at this stage, then Catherine Zeta-Jones in Mask of Zorro was the most gorgeous woman in the world. Don't argue. Don't argue. It's fact. It's fact. Kilt-Man has spoken. Kilt-Man likes his women, he does. Isn't it gorgeous? It's so gorgeous. It's sinuous. It's Mexican, and it's romantic, and there's a sly comic angle to it as well. But the warmth comes through, and that sort of mystique comes through as well. And then we're going to Hanny Calder, The Revenge, which is a darker movie. And it doesn't get played out quite as dark as you think it's going to be. And this is more like, the three themes flow together, don't they? You've got Bandolero, and you've got 100 Rifles, and you've got Hanny Calder. They all seem to... There's a musical Western evolution, musically, you're hearing here. There's a more energetic, sort of like somber, serious beat to this. And she's a much darker character in this, because she's witnessed the murder of her husband, and she's been raped and wants her revenge on these three guys. These three really, they're not... Maybe it's more realistic that way. You kind of think that the bad guys are going to be big, macho, muscle-bound bastards. That she's going to really fight against them, and she might need help to do so. But they're grizzled, jowly, chop-cheeked, fucking sunburns, cancerous old wretches. That's what they are. They are. But they are genuine character actors from that era. You got the gob iron going there. It's still a great score, isn't it? It's still a great bit of music. And Robert Culp's great in it as well. And you've got Christopher Lee. And then in Silverado, you would have many, a good decade and a half later, you would get Silverado with John Cleese. With his hat getting shot up. Today, my jurisdiction stops here. We had Donald Pleasance in this. This is Fantastic Voyage. But I don't care. We're going to round off again with Bandolero, because it's just too damn good. I'm sorry if you're sick of hearing it, but it's going to happen. It's just a triangle. Jerry Goldsmith. God. My favourite composer of all time, Jerry Goldsmith. Come on now. For Raquel. And doe-skin bikinis. Bring them back. They were all the rage in the Stone Age. One by one, we lose our icons. It's terrifying to behold and to see. When you get the news each time, it's like an arrow. Oh, God, another one's gone. Oh. And the sad thing is, there's still so many more. When we go, folks, when we shuffle off, we're going to meet them all. We'll be able to sit with them all and talk about everything. All their movies, we can sit with them. We'll be there together with them. That's how it's going to be. Let's end ominously with the Three Musketeers main theme by Michael Legrand. I urge you to watch. If you haven't seen the Three Musketeers and the Four Musketeers, I genuinely urge you to watch them. Be careful with the next one, The Return of the Musketeers, where poor Roy Kinnear, who they made a joke about him falling off the horse. He's the servant of D'Artagnan. He keeps falling off the horse when they start charging, galloping across the landscape. He will fall off his horse. And in Return of the Musketeers, he falls off his horse for real and dies for real. But I love the way that Richard Lester brought in such a great cast for these movies. Richard Chamberlain, Oliver Reed, Frank Finlay, Christopher Lee, Michael York, Raquel Welch, God, so many others, David Hemmings, and Spike Milligan. Comedy actors Spike Milligan and who I've just said fell off his horse. What's his name now? Roy Kinnear. It's ominous, pretentious music, and yet the film is anything but that. It's a series of comic set pieces with great swordplay, brilliant slapstick, threat and menace, historical romance and adventure. So many things combining. Alexander Dumas's phenomenal novel, The Three Musketeers, which is so funny, and so exciting, and so engrossing. This gets it. We have a new version. The biggest French production ever made is coming this year in 2 parts. Three Musketeers. It's set in 2 parts with Eva Green and Vincent Cassel in there. I'll talk a lot more about this because I'm a massive fan of Musketeers and Daring Do, you know. But that rendition, that version is outstanding. I read recently, in fact I read only in the last 24 hours, because of the death of Raquel Welch, everyone was talking about the films that she'd made, that looking on forums. Most of it was brilliant and I loved it. But I was shocked to see a lot of people go like, oh, but just avoid the Three Musketeers and the Four Musketeers. That's crap. Really, really. So what versions do you prefer? Douglas Fairbanks and the one, whatever the one from the 60s, 50s was. And then you've got that one, the 3D one, the Three Musketeers. And then you have the Brat Pack, you know, with Charlie Sheen. Actually, it's crap. No, it's crap. I was going to say, it's okay. It's not. It's not. It's garbage. Their Young Guns, Billy the Kid, that was fantastic. And Young Guns 2, great. But they're Three Musketeers. You can see what they were trying to do with it, but yeah, the magic was lost. And the steampunk bloody 3D Three Musketeers. Richard Lester's version is fantastic, and it's still the benchmark for me. The swordplay is great, the acting's great, the comedy's great. Raquel Welch is great. So wait to see what the Eva Green version will deliver. But I suspect very lush and romantic. He says, clutching his whiskey. Whiskey makes me lush and romantic as well. What do you know? Folks, I want you to, if you're going to drink, raise it now. I've just put mine down, I know, but if you're going to drink, raise it now to Raquel Welch. Rest in peace and Godspeed, Raquel Welch. A genuine icon of cinema, stage, screen, TV as well. You're on a Muppet Show. She seduced Fozzie Bear, for God's sake, you know. She was the dream of so many of us. It sounds weird, because we know what we were thinking. I know what we were thinking. We all thought the same thing. But she transcended all that with great performances and very, very underused in other movies. She had the ability to go much, much further. But her beauty, her looks, her sultry sexiness just dominated. Is that really a bad thing? Yes, it is. If it holds back a genuine talent. She could have gone to much bigger movies than what she did. But if you look at the movies, which just the bare few I've mentioned, which I think will be the best. Fantastic Voyage. Ain't the best, but it's a great movie. It's a great movie. 1 Million Years BC. It's a fabulous movie. And she's great in it. She's the main star of it, for God's sake. 100 Rifles. Bandolero. Oh my God. Hanny Calder. Awesome. Bedazzled, she's great, but it's not what she wants. And you can tell it's not what she wants to do. She's going through the motions, but she doesn't like doing it. And Musketeers, again, outstanding. Part of an ensemble cast, but fits into that jigsaw. That she slots into that big sort of group shot. She's there, and you take her out, the whole thing will fall apart. It would. But the great thing about those two movies is, if you take any character out, the whole thing will fall apart. And that's the majesty of making a movie with a strong, big cast, with a big overlapping story. Lots of little subplots and things going on. You need everybody there to do it. One cog falls out and the whole machine goes whoosh and just grinds down. Well, this epic conclusion now. Raquel. I've said it numerous times now, but Raquel, rest in peace. I genuinely do miss you. I have never struggled with a video as much as this one. I hope never to struggle as much again. But I think that possibly does sort of speak volumes about why it means so much to do a video like this. Because it's personal, you know. If you do like you're a newscaster and you break the news. Oh, so and so's died, and it's just you've got the little piece to read out. Dead easy, and someone's prepared. You know, they did this in that year, and that year they were born then, they died then, blah 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 blah, and they're famous for this film. They intercut little shots from those famous iconic movies. It's easy. They're not invested. I mean, they might be, but they're just doing their little sound bites, aren't they? But people like me, where movies just completely, I devote my life to movies, and they have indelibly changed my life in so many ways. When you lose people like this, even though they've not been involved in anything for most of my adult life, Raquel Welch hasn't done anything that I've known about, apart from Naked Gun 33 and the Third. Oh, and Legally Blonde. I think she did that, didn't she? But that's not much. But I grew up with her, and it means a lot. She did shape and change the way I looked at movies, the way I looked at other things. And for that, I'm forever indebted. And now she's gone. And it does make a difference. It does. So sometimes, you know, I come over all emotional sometimes. I do. I know. But I'm never going to mask that. Folks. It is what it is. One final swig of the whiskey. Raquel, you're outstanding. Outstanding. And you really paved the way for modern action heroines and stronger females in movies. You did that, and I don't think you're getting that recognition. Hopefully you get it now, although it's too late. But I'm doing my bit to get your name out there again. You'll live forever. Folks, I have been Always Shall Be Kilt-Man. Please try to keep it Kilted, keep it Celtic. And I'm going to see you all. And I'm going to play that again. You can turn off whenever you want. I'm sure most of you already did. This oh my God, it's so good! I hope you're up there or wherever. I hope you're in the beautiful sort of other dimension of San Diego. San Diego's gorgeous. To all my friends in San Diego. But to everyone else, San Diego's where it's at. Some great pubs as well. Pubs. And they're not in the most obvious of places either. I love San Diego. More watch parties coming soon. Who knows what they're going to be? Even I don't know. I can't click my fingers and I can't whistle either. I have an evolutionary defect. I don't know what it is. can't do those things. I can shoot guns, I can sword fight, I can knife fight, I can baton fight, I can climb mountains, I can abseil, I can parachute, I can scuba dive, I can do all those things, but I can't do that. I can't play a guitar. Can't drive a car. I can barely ride a bicycle. So I'm bloody rubbish at riding bicycles. Sorry, my friend here, my young protege, Mr. Kentucky Fudge, just said, Kilt-Man, you finished a good hour ago. Raquel Welch, we miss you. We always will miss you. You were a true icon. You blessed the screens and you blessed our minds. It's hard to find someone now who has that kind of power and gravitas. I mentioned a few. Charlize Theron would be one of those who has that dynamic presence, depth of character, can act, can do action, and will throw herself into things. Raquel Welch did a lot of her own stunts as well. She threw herself into these things. Oh God, I'll be going into part 2 of the Raquel Welch farewell tribute. Who knows? I'm just going to see you all later. Thanks for your patience.